Our last game of the first day of Super Week is here. SSG against Darkzero. Both of these teams have reached the heights of the NAL during last stage, but this time around are struggling to find their footing. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Ginny, joined with Foxe and Lax. And when we're looking at this matchup, what makes it really interesting is just that both of these teams are basically in identical situations.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a rivalry of the centuries. I mean, both these organizations have gone against each other 31 times.
Wow.
Where SSG will win 16 to DZ's 15. So in terms of a good head-to-head, this should definitely deliver. But as you said, both teams are struggling in their respective areas.
Yeah, and the DZ roster, we should probably just start there because this is one Foxe that we have praised so many times during last stage. We're saying it is a Swiss Army roster. It's a roster that can do anything. They're really great. They've reached that top spot in the NAL, and now it just feels like that's all gone.
Yeah, maybe it's because they don't have any Swiss players on the team, but unfortunately... Get it? Swiss Army knife. As for DZ, when it comes to their biggest issues, I mean, yeah, they have a little bit of everything. So what's holding them back? It really comes down to their opening engagements. We've figured out that they have been found out. Everyone knows exactly how they're going to play, especially in the early game. And that's something that Darkzero's biggest issues are focused on. Like, it's a double-edged sword. Spirits is the strength of their team, but at the same time, because people have been able to figure out what Spirits is going to be doing, if they counter him, then he gets shuts down. And if they run the shields on him, then if they do get the opening kill, in the later half of the rounds, they don't have the utility to be able to go for these executes. And that's not something that we would say about a team like DZ. We're used to seeing them set up, you can't break them apart. They go for the execute, lock down. You'd have to beat them in the early game. But now, because of how many resources they're setting up so Spirits can find those opening kills, if that opening kill doesn't come, they lose. If it does come, they lose in the late game.
Yeah, and that's just not a situation, as you highlight upon, that we would ever expect to see a team like DZ in. But we're here now, and we're looking at their schedule as well when it comes to the games that they have already played and the ones that they have coming up. And it's looking a little bit easier, if I do say so myself. It is wildcard, it is standby LFO. So if you are looking at the position of gathering as many points as possible, it does start here.
Absolutely. I mean, you can almost say that Darkzero will most likely be within the top 6, mind you, after this game. But if they can just get a secure win under SSG under their belt, then obviously the next 2 games should be a cakewalk. If they don't and they have to just be able to struggle by just because they're able to beat standby and wildcard, it puts them in a situation where they haven't really fixed anything going into playoffs, and that's not what we want to see from DZ, is going into playoffs a handicap weaker version of DZ that we haven't been able to see, that can't execute. So obviously need to see them be consistent on what we want to see from SSG, and especially in the opening kills department. If they can get it, let's focus on executing.
Yeah, and for SSG's side of thing, again, it's kind of like a similar story here, Lax, where we're looking at a roster that did so well at NAL. I mean, they were the #1 NAL seed heading into that EWC slot, and we were saying, okay, this roster has really got it under lock and key, but then now that we're in stage 2, we're looking at SSG. Where did that fire go?
Yeah, I don't know where the fire really went, but it also leaves the question. I mentioned this earlier in the stage. I feel like we're also putting a lot of pressure on SSG's performance when you got to look at back in their playoffs. A lot of those games went to the last round, which, don't get me wrong, going to a head-to-head matchup with the top teams in playoffs and bringing it down to the very last round, that obviously commands a lot of respect. But it's because they won those last rounds based off their resilience, based off being able to bring it back, that of course they're going to be the best in the league. But you got to remember, throughout the stage, they didn't finish #1. They finished playoffs #1. So the important thing for them here is to not only get this win here today, but to just be able to qualify for playoffs. Because as we know, best of 3s is where everything really gets tested. The best of 1, it's about if you show up that day, you make the least amount of mistakes. So for both these teams, realistically, they just want to be making playoffs here.
Yeah, and it also starts here for SSG when you're looking at the games that they still have to play when it comes into their schedule, and also just the games that they have, because at the moment they're not even into the top 6. But you're looking at an opponent in Shopify, you're looking at M80. It's looking dicey, to say the least.
It's a very realistic world that SSG might not be able to make playoffs, given that it is a trial by fire, to say the least. I mean, you got a good head-to-head up against Darkzero, but then you immediately jump into Shopify Rebellion, and then to end it with M80, where both these teams or all three of these teams are playing very well. I'd say more so SR and M80 than Darkzero, where this is more balanced. But still, every game they are going to have to fight tooth and nail, and there is no best of threes to be able to recoup once you lose that game. You need to do it here, and you need to secure these 3 points in this match today.
Yeah, but if there really is any team that has tenacity and the ability to push themselves to this point mentally, it is going to be like a team like SSG, because they have a lot of great systems in place. But also when we're looking at their stage 1 against their stage 2 performances, it feels like it has been a downward trajectory.
Yes, it definitely has tapered off. And, where Fox was talking about, players on DZ being struggling in certain areas or finding success. For me, it's an all-around dynamic whenever it comes to SSG. It's just not typically one player. It comes down to their play style, and I think they've kind of, once again, deviated back into that old aggressive playstyle where it's just not working. I mean, you can clearly see from stage 1 to stage 2, it's tapered off pretty heavy, especially on their defensive side of things. I mean, dropping almost 20%, like that is not good. That just makes me think that you're getting far too overzealous. You're playing too confident where you don't need to be. You can rely on one another. The only caveat is that they're getting those opening kills, but clearly not turning those into round wins just based off their attacking percentage. So for me, it really starts on their attacks, getting those opening kills like they're continuing to do, whether that's on defense or attack, and closing out those rounds with the man advantage. But for me, it also looks at a bigger picture of they've dialed back on being able to use those shields, where sometimes we saw Ashen, sometimes we saw Fultz. No one's really using those shield operators anymore. And it's not to say that you need to force them, but sometimes it's needed in some rounds just to cheese around, just to get a quick pick, just to get quick control. And for me, I feel like once they start doing that again, and once they start adopting that play style of being a little more passive, whether that's on attack or defense, that's when we will start to see that old SSG that was thriving in playoffs start to thrive here, especially in the Super Week.
Yeah, and also we just saw them do a little team huddle. They looked fired up and ready to go. So let's bring up the map vetoes as well to see what exactly we can be expecting when it comes to this matchup between the two teams. And it is going to be Border.
When we were rehearsing this, I was guessing a Border. I really like that because obviously Border is a map that DZ will let by sometimes when they're playing up against a good contested opponent, because they want to show a different look to DZ. And obviously they desperately need it right now because they have lost their identity when it comes to the slow, methodical, go for the execute Darkzero. So going the complete opposite way, just trying to, instead of fix those problems since it's such a limited amount of time, just trying to switch it up on its head, go aggressive, take SSG to one of the most aggressive sided maps and trying to exploit their issues that we've seen SSG do, which is a little bit of over-aggression.
But that's what worries me, because when you look at the last stage, granted, SSG did win this matchup, but they did lose Border to Darkzero 7-2 in the grand finals. It makes me worried because they started on attack and they only got 2 successful attacking rounds. So then sure, maybe they're looking at this that they can correct their mistakes, but they just recently played Oxygen earlier in the stage and got decimated on their defense and barely could muster out attacks. I believe they only got 2 attacks even in that game. So I'm not too confident for SSG going into this matchup, where at least for Darkzero, starting on a defense-sided Border and knowing your opponent very well and their idiosyncrasies, I don't know.
I like it.
I'm not confident.
All right, so if it comes to predictions, then the map is, if anything, is further swaying it towards DZ.
I think I might have picked SSG in the beginning. I might swap.
Yeah, would you swap it now? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to swap it going back to Border. I just think Darkzero has the upper hand here starting on the defensive half.
This should be an SSG map. In my opinion, the players stacked up against each other, I'm picking the SSG guys all day. For some reason, I have this feel. I'm going to switch. I'm going to go to SSG.
Okay, a little switcheroo for the predictions. But
well, I just think SSG, Darkzero is going into it with the information of, oh, we're going to abuse their over-aggression because we're both in slumps, and SSG's just over-peaking. But when I look at it, I feel like SSG is a team of resilience. And obviously, after their last loss to Cloud9 on Skyscraper, I feel like that they always bounce back. Like, mentally, they're not going to get broken by something like that. So for that reason, I think they're going to go into it not only very aggressive, but very methodical and try to fall in line. And with that, I think they have improved, whereas I don't necessarily think Darkzero has really changed anything since last week.
Well, it remains to be seen which one of you two is going to be correct, as we're ready to head into our final game of today of DZ against SSG, with once again our very lovely casters, Intero and Jesse.
A critical matchup here for two teams that are puzzlingly on the outside looking in. The team that looked like they were going to go undefeated in Darkzero last stage is now in 8th place. SSG, who won stage 1 by beating Darkzero, is in 9th place. Now, granted, Jesse, they're only a couple points out of playoffs, but Are you expecting this to be the best match of the day, or am I crazy?
Parker, unfortunately, you're not crazy. This should be an exceptional game between these two teams. It is weird to see them in this spot outside of playoffs, but we should be expecting a good game between the two of them. It is absolutely critical that neither of these teams leave this game with 0 points. If you head into your final 2 play days in essentially the last place spot, right? In 8th place, you're starting to get a bit of distance too from the rest of the pack. You start to really get nervous. If you get 1 or 2, I think you're okay. If we head to overtime, both teams could probably feel fine about their situation, but a regulation loss at this point would feel quite bad. We'll see how it goes. This map border historically has been SSG's real strong point. They love this map back in stage 1, but the only time they've played it in stage 2 is a 7-3 loss to Oxygen. DZ haven't played at this stage, 3-1 record in stage 1 with that sole loss coming up against SSG.
Jesse, my glasses were crooked. You didn't even have the courtesy to tell me. Unbelievable.
I was honestly staring at my own cam because my cat was in the background. I wanted to make sure she didn't cause a mess.
I would have loved to have had Max in the camera shot, but he is a Bengal. We do not control him. So he just does whatever he wants to do, and he has spent most of the day today, every single time I've walked out of the office, lying under things in our house. And every time I've gone to go get water or coffee, he attacks me. So I have spilled water a couple times because I am not expecting it.
Good.
Don't say good.
When it comes to the operator bans on a map like Border, you tend to see a lot of variation, but even with that said, these are some crazy bans to come out from SSG and from Darkzero. You got a Warden mute ban, which means you're focusing on removing kind of those SAS shotguns, I suppose. The mute ban can often be a real curveball for teams because it's going to mean ops like Deimos, ops like Grim end up being really, really powerful. So watch out for that coming through from SSG this first half. Darkzero banned the Twitch and they banned the Glaz. Glaz is a decently common ban here on Border because of how many good smoke rushes there are on this map. Twitch is a little bit more uncommon. Expect DZ to be playing with a lot of Goyos, potentially a lot of mirror windows on this game as well. Both have kind of used that second ban to hard target some counters that they can likely try to abuse now.
There are some definitely out of the 4 operators that can be banned, 4 that have a very low ban rate overall. It's fun to see. This is Warden's 9th ban. It's Mute's 6th ban. It's Glaz's 11th ban. It's Twitch's 1st ban?
Yeah,
right.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It is, at least by the numbers I have. This is the 1st Twitch ban here in the NA League, so... All right, operator bans have obviously rocketed upwards because now there are significantly more of them.
Yes.
Which obviously has changed the numbers. It is kind of funny diving into these stats, but yeah, no Twitch. All right, so what is SSG going to do instead? Brava immediately brought out as a substitute. Flores can also kind of plug that hole if need be. Only difference between Twitch, Brava, and then Flores is that with Twitch and Brava, your drones are not timed. Flores, those drones have a pretty short life expectancy. It's a bit of a missed drone here on Spirits playing inside of security. There's some Selma charges that Fultz had thrown out quite carelessly, picked off by the Ella. Nobody's really trying to flush Spirits out of this position. What are you doing, Spacestation? How are you not moving somebody over there just yet?
Sucks losing to Selma, but they're very much aware of his position and just choosing to take it slow for a moment. They had their chance. Action was right there and saw the head, but missed his shots. Still gets Nape and might get a second too, being swung in the hallway by Panba, and it looks like he will win it. Beautifully done. Newers eventually finds Spirits, which was the initial target of that top floor clear. So perfectly done. Ashen's on the board a 3rd time, trading 1-for-1 with Citizen, which just leaves NJR all alone on site with 70 seconds.
This is a hellish spot for NJR to be in, but controls that Reaper quite well. Down goes Fultz, now being watched over from the lobby. 3 players remain on the side of SSG. They will trade out looking for kills as they do quite a considerable amount of damage to him. He's dropped J90 though. Good old Jack is as good as gone. NJR is playing this one so well, and he has everything working for him. A 1v1 now against Newers. As NJR sets himself up quite well, Newers will look for something over towards the lobby. Information given, but Newers is just too good. NJR gave the DZ fans hope and sometimes hope. is the worst thing you can give people. Spacestation had the first round in the bag, fumbled, recovered gracefully, and they take it.
Great top clear by SSG, but oh my God, NJR so close in that one. I loved that little punch hole. He clearly got communications from his team that they were inside a workshop, knew exactly how to hold the angle, and then found the guy. Such a long-range fight. The second he gets that first kill in the 1v4, I thought to myself, if there's anybody who's going to clutch around like this, it's going to be NJR. Just out of reach, unfortunately, though. Good from Newers to win that final 1v1 as well, I should say. Newers has his whole career been known as an extremely aggressive player. I remember the days on OXG where he would be first in and dead within the first 60 seconds. It felt like almost every single round. But on the SSG this stage, Newers has actually been playing a lot more passive. He actually has the fewest deaths in the entire league, which is crazy to say about a guy like Newers, especially since Spacestation have had so many struggles this stage. But I mean, you can see how much value he brings in those late rounds. Definitely not a mistake from Spacestation to hold him for these late moments, especially when you've got so many capable, aggressive players like Ashen or Benja.
NJR has long been considered one of the finest talents that have emerged from North America, and he continues to live up to the billing no matter how long he's been around for. He won a major 4 years ago, was it? 3 years ago? Almost 4 years ago?
Yeah.
4 years in May. That is insane to think, and he was not a spring chicken at that point either. He'd been around for a fair bit of time, so
I'm reloading!
the longevity he's had is really quite impressive. I don't think he'll be alone on the side of DZ, though, for racking up kills. They do have a lot of offensive threats. Both of these teams do, and despite the fact that success has really not been what they wanted, both of them can pop off whenever they want. A nice opportunity for NJR to use that Nitro cell outside, but it only does a little bit of damage to J90.
I did some research on this East Stairs position a little while ago, and I honestly think that NJR is the best East Stairs player in North America. He's so good in that position. Ashen less good outside of the CC window as he does get downed, but I think he can get picked up. Yes, Fault will go for that recovery, so still a 5-on-5. And as the pressure really comes through with these logic bombs, Spirit's going to be feeling this. He needs to be able to stay alive.
Spirit's now on the run. First hounded by those logic bombs, then the bees will follow. That's a clutch drone that he'll finally get as he continues to inch his way towards that break room door. Out go the smokes, an explosion will follow right in the thick of it as Spirit still. He's yet to be shaken off of this position, Jesse. Might find two over by the security window. Pambazoo credited with the pick onto J90. Fultz has been dropped as well. Pambazoo coming to the rescue here. SSG's momentum has been blunted as they look to get inside the building.
Yeah, at this point, DZ could even start to fall off, just concede some space because you've gotten the pick, you've slowed down this push, but they are hungry for more. Pamba's retaking security. Spirit still aggressive in towards break room 2.
Just throwing everything at him, but they just have no real answers for Spirit. Now Benja will go down below. Dane fishing for a kill, but none of his shots seemingly connecting. He gets flattened by NJR, who's dropped. The Mayor just running rampant over here. A prolonged bit of action that's lasted the last minute or so has put Fultz, after he was downed in a 1v5. It was almost a 1 round previously by Darkzero. It looks like they'll be able to get it done this time, barring utter catastrophe. Fultz will play this slow. Spot Spirits, a flawless round denied on the side of DZ. But a victory still incredibly likely, especially with 10 seconds left, and DZ will get the job done. No doubt about it, as that's the Ella swinging through the corner and finishing him off. DZ will trade back, and we've got a tie game.
Border tends to be one of those maps that I feel like the gunplay is just the most important thing. It feels like compared to other maps, the conversion rate of opening picks is really, really high because once you get one little kill, you can really start to snowball. You start trading things out if you need to. DZ didn't have to in that round, but it starts becoming really tough for the team without numbers to work anything because it's just not a big map for utility. It's actually a very small map, and so it becomes really tough to root players out of certain situations. They'll always have teammates nearby. Darkzero in that round did a great job of just holding their spots, still moving around quite a bit. I mean, you saw how eager Spirits was to leave security, then go over towards break room. They were happy to move, but that part of the map, right, the southwest corner, was always what they were focused on, always under their control. NJR started east, he went back towards Archives, he dropped the Archives hatch to make that happen, and it almost felt like from below, Benja had the read that there was a player that had dropped, but didn't correctly, I think he misread which hatch had been dropped. Maybe he heard it, maybe he got some kind of a comm, because as soon as the drop happened, he stopped looking above him, and he was worried about the horizontal push, but didn't come from where he thought it would.
NAL has been a big focal point for DZ so far. You think it's just tailor-made for a map like Border? You're going to play close quarters. You know SSG is going to be aggressive. You can knock them off with those Gushmat mines and have a good gun, or you think there's something more to it, Jesse?
I think that's a big part of it, right? Close range, Ella's going to thrive, but we've also seen Ella be used a lot in correlation with the rise of shields in Siege. As more and more shields have been brought out, Ella's obviously a great counter to that. Can move that shield out of the way and can also get you great space here, which is what they're being used for now. Just as I say that, Fault will die, so that's going to be the shield countered by the Ella if nobody else. Traded back by JNO here on the top floor, though.
Light set.
This is a very oddly paced matchup so far. Dave looked like he would go for a peek, but it's being watched by Newers, who's got pretty good trigger finger, and down he goes. NJR also buried, leaving just 2 for Darkzero. French-Canadian and the Brit outnumbered 2-1, almost becoming 4-1. As there was some damage done up top of this bomb site. Don't have control of the site at all. SSG needs to translate it in that direction. Well, from down below, a brilliant read by Spirits. Down goes Benjamaster. The Citizen in on the fun as well. Both of these players doing some serious damage. What an odd game so far. It's action, stop, action, stop, action, stop. Neither team really setting the pace very effectively, and it's quite peculiar. Now there's a retake from above. SSG with a numbers advantage of 1.
J9O on the hatch, a sneaky angle, might not be expected. They likely will be headed this direction. Citizen up top inside of Archives could drop the hatch as well. He's very disconnected from Spirits. Could open the door for Newers to go for a plant. Inside a workshop, there's so many plant spots that even without top control, it can be really tough to deny this plant from up above. Newers knows he's got time, but he doesn't have smokes and he doesn't have Ashen.
It's an even game now. Anybody's round. These two tied up. J9O will shut down Spirits. DZ on a great run, but oh my, it was not to be had. Yet again, it got close, and then SSG stuck the landing. Excellent poise by them. The best team in Stage 1, the NA League Stage 1 champs, who find themselves in unfamiliar territory outside of the playoffs, but both tied. 9 points between the two of them. Or 9 points combined, 18 points between the two of them. They do trail Cloud9 in 6th place. A single point for both of these teams might be enough to bump them up into the playoffs. Each round differential will be what matters the most. Cloud9 right now does have a much better round differential, as does Wildcard in both of these teams. I was trying to do the quick math of if they made it to overtime, is there a scenario in which, with the points breaking down the way they are, they both make it in? And the answer is no, because if they made it to OT and Darkzero won 8-6, that would bump up DZ's round differential by 2, which is still below the +9, and it would not be enough for Spacestation based on round differential. Spacestation would still be on the outside looking in, but it would bump one of Cloud9 and Wildcard out of the playoff picture. Right now it's Cloud9 would be out of it. Both of these teams will be in action tomorrow. We've been talking about the standings, so you know what to expect. We are in Super Week, so there are games today, tomorrow, and Friday. In tomorrow's matchup, DZ will square off against Wildcard. Spacestation will be in the next game against Shopify Rebellion, and then on Friday, DZ starts things off with what might be a very important match on their end, up against Standby LFO. SSG will be in our very final group stage match against what is right now the first place M80 team. M80 guaranteeing themselves a berth in the playoffs, but not a top 2 finish just yet. It'll be exciting games to watch. You and I will not be casting tomorrow. or I think you will be casting tomorrow, and then you will be, and then I cast Friday with Lynx, if memory serves correctly. So Ash in the leadoff pick, J9O in as well. We are 30 seconds into the round, Jesse, and 2 people are already dead. What is going on? And Ashen is in the middle of the bomb site. All right.
Welcome to Border, Parker. This is how the map goes. Beautiful shot, and that was the defuse kit. So this round actually is just turned on its head. That's a blunder by Fultz. His teammates are all fragging, so it might not matter in the end. But Pampa knows how valuable he's just gotten that frag. I mean, he's gotten the defuse kit down that he can start to play around it a little bit. That's why he repositions himself up here onto Rafters and coordinates with Nave. That's another great shot. One tap with the TCSG finds the head of Benjamaster, and this push from SSG, they might have the man advantage, but again, positioning goes all the way for DZ, so do not feel comfy if you're SSG. This is really tricky.
Advantage still for SSG. It will now get better again, this pacing. What is going on? Newers finds 2 kills with 1 minute and 15 seconds left. Welcome to Border, I guess. Hell in a cell, they call it, but the cell is much bigger than we expected. Another round in the bag for SSG off of, again, I will say it, one of the weirdest paced rounds and one of the weirdest paced matches I've seen of Siege in quite some time.
I want to go back to round 3 because it really does feel like in a lot of these rounds where the attackers are getting an early advantage, right? Where we did see that success coming out from Space Station. It's a lot of gunfights happening outside the building, right? And this is typical for Border, right? When you're getting these early picks, oftentimes you don't need to enter the building because the building is so small and it's just how this map goes. But generally, if you're losing battles to players that are outside the building on a map like Border or even a map like Chalet, the most powerful operator to counter that is Azami. There's a reason why Azami is the most commonly banned defender on Border, and yet, despite the fact that it slipped through the ban phase, both the first and second phases, we haven't seen Azami get brought out even once by Darkzero. They've completely avoided her on this map, and it just feels like SSG are exploiting that so perfectly. I can't say it's been a common operator for Darkzero over their history when they've played this map. NJR will play it every now and again, especially in that east stairs position, but it's not been an operator that they're super comfortable with. I wonder if SSG have read into that, both from the many times DZ have played this map and then also from scrims and come to realize, hey, we don't have to ban this operator because they don't really play it, and now we're capitalizing on it too. NJR even going so far as to bring up the castle here in round number 5. I just gotta wonder why the Azami isn't being brought. If we get a winner's interview with Darkzero, I'd love to know the answer.
It's definitely worth asking, as we see SSG blowing up their lineup with 15 seconds to go. Lots of stall potential brought out on the side of Darkzero. You've got the arena, you've got your Clash as, I would imagine, the main impediment for SSG, and SSG have decided to bring a bevy of tools to deal with that, and Amaru on the board in the hands of Benjamaster is an intriguing thing, and with the shotgun, it means they're going to be going in hard, they're going to be going in fast. Top floor bomb site is a prime location for an Amaru to slingshot through that sandwich window. And if you hit that armory wall hard enough and fast enough, they won't be able to react. Looks like Benjamaster's other ideas, as it's Fultz going on to repel for sandwich window. I don't know where these defenders of DZ are sitting. I don't think any of them are half walls, so you don't need to worry about getting shotgun blasted from below. Benjo looks to be swinging in, by the way. He's got his gadget out. Where will he go? Still holding that gadget, still waiting for the call. And there he goes, up through the small hatch, vaporizing Nath, immediately turning to spirits, shutting him down. He has another over by Metal. Benja tearing through them. A fourth to be had as he flashes away, goes for a reload, hops through Metal, a rotate over towards 90. Now to deal with the Clash. Here's eliminating NJR. An ace denied. Pambazoo shuts down Benjamaster. He trades out getting Newers, but Fultz shuts the door, and it's another successful round from Space Station. What the hell is this game, Jesse?
It's Porter, Parker. The clock means nothing. Really nice entry from Benja, getting up on that hatch with the Amaru. That's what I was expecting from Ambi in round 1 of our last game, if you'll remember Lair. Benjamaster, really nicely done. I think it's frankly just good luck that he happens to pop up that hatch the second that Nafe is going for the reload. I was curious if maybe he heard the reload happening or he heard the shots, and that's what prompted him to use that Amaru hook. But looking back at the replay, I think he just happens to get lucky with the timing. Comes up right as Nafe is emptying his clip, and then when he's there, it's the reload. Perfect swap to the SMG-11 after that, though. There's nothing lucky about these next couple of kills. Plays that so beautifully. Eventually dies to the 360 clash, but who cares? He's made the space for his team. The plant goes down, and there's a reason why SSG were so dominant on this map back last stage over the summer. They may have lost it to Oxygen back in stage a couple of weeks ago, back in week 1 of this stage, but you wouldn't be able to tell by watching this game, Parker. They look right back on track.
Attackers are moving to
Right back to the stage 1 team we all came to be a bit surprised by. I mean, most people didn't have SSG winning stage 1, especially after the masterclass that both DZ and Shopify Rebellion put on during the group stage. Shopify Rebellion, of course, not losing a single match in the group stages of stage 1. DZ was in a similar boat until the final 2 play days through a spanner in the works. They were still head and shoulders above the rest. Along comes SSG in a best-of-3 series, and they take the top. Now, in the final round of this first half, SSG is looking for a 5-1 scoreline. Benjamaster breaking his way in stock. He was on a collision course with Citizen. Citizen seemed to know that as he shot through the soft wall. What on earth was Ashen looking at, and how did they not know that Citizen had maneuvered to that position? A bit of a blind spot for SSG, and DZ capitalizes to get the first pick.
Yeah, they thought he was still inside of Customs, so it ends up being a blunder as the Citizen gets his free pick onto Ashen. Smoke being used on the bomb site, this is just to try to draw someone out. It's a complete bait, but Nafe, playing the Solus above, can tell that it's a bait and not actually the plant, so he doesn't need to swing those vert holes. That's actually really cool coming out from Nafe. Allows Darkzero to just play this quite safely, and they are, I would say, on track to get their second pick or second round now. Minute 30 on this clock, and Spacestation have struggled to really get anything going. They need to pressure this top floor. That's why Benj is up here. That's why Fault is up here playing top east as well. J9 too. It's just Newers that's still lurking towards that bomb site. If they go for the collapse, Pamba will of course be who they find. He's here in 90. Spirits and security, a lot of players up top, and now these castle barricades start to fall. Eventually this push will come from SSG.
Obviously knocked off stride with that early death on Ash, and now Benja will join him. Food for worms. The Spirits is posted up inside of security. He started the very first round in this position, and it looks like he's quite intent on ending it. SSG finally gets something going. Pambazoo is gone. Now it's Spirits firing away. Spotted for a second. Damage dealt in his direction, but at this point, you gotta get moving to the bomb site. Security obviously playing a pivotal role, but there's a job to be done. Grenade will go out. Spirit still hugging this position, backing away. Oh no, J9O taken down. Spirits as well. SSG with only 2 players upright. They'll need to get J9O back from the dead. Spirits likely irretrievable at this point. So you've got a 3-on-3 gunfight. They'll manage to escape past NJR, and he's very patient, taking down J9O. Fultz and Newer's last 2 left. Fultz attempting the defuse plant, but the 3 remaining players from DZ that still got a pulse, well, they're going to circle the wagons and gun him down. Fultz dies at the hands of NJR. Not much to celebrate on the side of DZ. They escape the first half with 2 rounds, but SSG very firmly in control.
You go back to the very first kill of that round when Citizen catches Ashen off guard down on the main floor. What's most important in that engagement is the operators they're playing. Citizen is on the Valkyrie and Ashen is on the IQ. That's 2 really important operators to come through, and you can kind of guess how the rest of that round goes based on the fact that the IQ did go down. The Valk cams from Citizen were absolutely huge up on that top floor when they pivoted to trying to clear those players up above. We saw Fultz toss out his nade, or it was J9O, up inside a break room. Benja, excuse me, to try to force that player outside of security, and then he gets downed by a Nitro. Well, that Nitro is being guided by a Valkyrie camera that wasn't cleared out. There was another one in the main hall top floor as well. So the entire time that SSG were trying to clear through top, they were on cameras. Their information was being given to Darkzero, and so that was a really good little bit of utility to come through. We'll move on to the second half now, and Darkzero give themselves a bit of a lifeline. 5-1 moving to the offensive side would have been pretty tough. I think Border is a map where the attackers are actually favored over 50%, but even still, you never like going down 5-1 on a half. Talks about how these players have, or these teams have historically been so dominant in this region, especially back in stage 1. Spacestation Gaming have not failed, well, they've made top 6, I should say, in 9 of the last 10 stages that they've played. Darkzero, for their sake, have never in organization history missed the top 6, going back through every stage of the NAL, as well as every season of Pro League that they played back under ESL.
It's an absurd stat.
Right?
An absurd stat. It just speaks to the longevity that this org has had. I mean, I was there at the very beginning when, Zach, the CEO, I believe at the time, was putting the team together, and he'd reached out to a couple people, one of which was Kix, and Kix was working with them. He was originally asked to be the head coach before things changed, and he opted to stay on as a caster. I think we're all better for that. But I remember them looking at the rosters and thinking to themselves, like, who should we pick up? And I remember them going through the motions. They'd looked at a bunch of different players, even not necessarily picking up a roster, picking up a couple players and building a team around it. Success has always been in the wheelhouse of DZ. You mentioned missing the top 6. Well, they do have a bit of a leg up over some of their opponents, which is that they play the 0-point standby LFO team in the very final match of the group stages. Yeah, obviously crazy things can happen. But with the way these two teams have played, that should be a free 3 points for Darkzero. That's just a nice little insurance policy, irrespective of what happens here against SSG or in their match tomorrow against Wildcard, which, again, Wildcard 2 points ahead of Darkzero. They are very evenly matched teams. If DZ can pick up 1 or 2 points here, and then they keep those 3 points against Standby in their back pocket, it'll be very tough for them to lose out on the playoffs. But again, crazier things have happened. DZ on attack for the remainder of regulation. They've already breached the building. They've shoved SSG back. They've done quite a bit of damage to Ashen, so a good start in the first 90 seconds.
Pace, though, I mean, they don't have a ton of space. They had bees on J90 for a good chunk there, but weren't able to do much with it. It's just playing a very safe position, of course, inside of offices behind that single panel, so they've got to find some way to root him out from that spot. Work being done on break room right now. Nafe is rotating over the roof with the fuse kit, so I think they're going to want to clear through this south side to go for their eventual push. Still plenty of options to go with, but if they do choose to do this and move over towards the lockers side, this isn't really a place where they've done a whole lot of work so far. Pop the mirror window, but Surya Gate still being held here in a position you saw from Benjamaster as well, back behind the half wall. Plenty of decisions to be made, not a lot of time to make them. 5v5 with 60 seconds. Here comes the burn, here comes the breach. It's definitely going to be a lockers execute. What can Darkzero do with this?
Well, right now, not much. They're waiting. Good patience on the side of DZ, but you cannot be patient when the clock is working against you. As attackers, DZ need to bring that case on in. Nave sustaining some serious damage while trying to do that, but Spirits has his back, takes down what remains of Ashen. Now it's Benjamaster as the main person to deal with the push. On Armory Wall, finished off by Half Wall. Newer's on the board as Nave goes down. Diffuser will need to be retrieved by DZ. They've only got 20 seconds left to do it, but their guns are getting the job done before the actual case can be planted. It's all on Fultz, the former world champion. Taking out NJR, looking towards 90, gets Citizen as well. Immediately repositions, doing an awful lot of damage to Spirits. Pambazoo needs some protection. Fultz is not able to do much because of the reinforcement, what will deal some serious damage to Pambazoo. A ring around the Rosie and the rodeo that's happening right now. It's anybody's game as to who will come out on top. Pambazoo and Spirits fading away. Fultz on top of that diffuse kit, playing around the bomb chassis on the tight wall, shredding through Pambazoo. He'll attempt the plant to draw Spirits out of his position. Spirits miles away. Fultz falls off, and a battle to the death. He could have stuck it, but he doesn't know the position. Toying with each other. Fultz gets the quad kill to get the round, and SSG's lead will grow by 1.
Absolutely ridiculous from the captain. Alec Fultz on the clutch of the stage for sure. I mean, what a clutch to come back. And on the defensive side too, to get that disable. This has been maybe the worst stage Fultz has played on defense in his entire career. He's been, 6-22 on defense through the first 3 weeks of the North America League. But now his first defensive map back here up against Darkzero for the Super Week. What a ridiculous 4K and insane clutch to make it happen. You talk about longevity in a match between Spacestation and Darkzero, and there's perhaps nobody better than Faults to really capitalize on that. No player in North America has been with an organization longer than Faults has been with Spacestation. He won a world championship with this team, and we're seeing shades of that world champion Faults here against Darkzero. What a fantastic clutch, start to finish. None of those kills were easy. Not one of those kills was going to be a gimme, and he somehow found all of them. Shotgun or SMG-11. Brilliant performance to come through from Faults, and you can't imagine that Darkzero will be feeling anything but sorrow after that.
Usually this is the time where I would hop in, Jesse, and be like, well, a clutch doesn't happen without mistakes from your opponents. But DZ played that so well. That's the thing. They knew exactly where he was. The follow-up on 90 was so swift, but Faults was prepared and ready for it. Usually you need a leg up from your opponents, but Faults did that all himself. A masterful clutch. And I feel like Faults doesn't really get the recognition that he deserves. He's always playing these thankless roles. There's a lot bigger personalities on Spacestation, and from what I know of Faults, he's quite happy to take a back seat. But boy, oh boy, can he show up in huge moments. SSG doesn't win a world championship without Faults on his A game many, many years ago, and it's nice to see rounds like that, where we get a reminder of what Faults can do and what he used to do quite regularly when he was freed from these support roles. Spirits is the first casualty. Ashen is taking quite a beating. Faults now also losing a lot of his life in this scrappy play as Faults is a wanted man. NJR sentences him to death. And we have a 4v4 that turns in favor of DZ. Familiar territory that they were in the previous round. Benjamaster is gone. And SSG outnumbered by 1, but they've pulled off some improbable comebacks. Could they do another?
A light breeze would knock over Ashen with his limited HP pool too, so this man advantage could tilt the favor of Darkzero even heavier. A couple of Denari trips they're going to have to worry about. Some interesting bandit batteries as well. Makes pushing past lockers kind of awkward. It's a cool setup from Spacestation. Nobody's here to play it though. Instead, they are elsewhere on the map. Newer's finding Pambazoo from inside of offices. Everybody is kind of in this direction. The Denari's get shot, which will tell SSG where the push is at currently for Darkzero. This Miro window, I mean, there's so much cool setup here that DZ need to pick apart.
And this Ashen really is the player to watch. He's under fire, he's on the run over by Fountain. He squared himself away towards office. Still one EE, 1D remaining in the pocket of Nafe. So these SSG players will be paralyzed for a couple seconds. They want Ashen and they need this map control to translate to the bomb site down below in bathroom. Ashen is prepared and ready for it. Down goes NJR at the hands of J90. Ashen's been living on borrowed time forever. Now it's Citizen baited in. Jack with another kill. Ashen finished off as Nave has gotten control of Fountain, but that one pick is ended as Newer sweeps him off his feet. SSG moved to match point. My goodness, what is this team? What is this game?
You know, Parker, there was an interview last week between Nafe and Janiro. And he said that, you know, at the start of the rounds, that's something that DZ are great at, right? But by the end of the rounds, they're just stumbling over themselves constantly. And starting the round great is usually the hard bit. That's what he told her. And he's absolutely correct that usually getting the advantage early is the difficult part in Siege. And then once you have the man advantage, once you have the position advantage, once you have some kind of real leg up in the round, closing it out should be the simple part. But consistently now, Darkzero have stumbled at the end of things. Just like what we saw from Cruelty earlier today, just like what we saw from, I believe it was Envy, just in the last game. I mean, it feels like a lot of these teams in North America League cannot close out advantages even when it's looking so strong. I have to say, I'm more talking about the Faults clutch when I talk about this. That previous round was really tough to close out because even though they didn't have the numbers, SSG had a really cool setup in towards Fountain, in towards Archives. That Denari trip, obviously something brand new we haven't seen before coming out from any team that I've been able to watch. And then also the Miro window, Fountain looking towards Metal Stairs. I mean, just some real creativity being shown off by the astronauts. This curse, though, from Darkzero is something they will need to figure out before this stage ends. Otherwise, I fear they're not going to make playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, like I said, that has DZ, or should have DZ fans a little bit more relaxed is that standby game on the very final match of the group stage. If you factor that in, DZ are basically sitting at 12 points right now. No disrespect to standby LFO, but no team has really sweat against them. So I don't see DZ as being that team, but Darkzero has had a couple games through their various iterations with different IGLs where they have struggled against bad teams. DZ is getting blown out by SSG right now. And a lot of these rounds, DZ should not be losing. I don't even know where to begin with this particular match. Spacestation are just letting it all hang out. And oh my, DZ are hurting because of it.
Yeah. This DC team, too, I mean, even if they get that 3 points versus standby, that still might not be enough. I mean, we don't know how many points they're going to need to make playoffs at the end of this. Right. So every point matters. The next 4 rounds will be critical for Darkzero. Even if you just get one, it can make all the difference in the end. But it's been stalled, Parker. Really great two-brow usage from Ashen. He sees the feet of the Blackbeard, but can't do much with it. The crossfire being held by Newers. It's going to be next to impossible to make an entry through this wall.
Explosions will go off, and J90 has been patrolling customs down below, making sure no contraband sneaks through. Right now, DZ are on the ban list. Can't let them through your defenses, can't let them into the bomb site. We've yet to be able to shake SSG out of this armory position. Try as they might. Ambazu is the one tasked with doing just that. Looks like there's some chaos that's been thrown in the ranks for DZ as they're scrambling now. Benja backing away, protecting this back portion of the bomb site, and he sees the Blackbeard, but he's impervious to damage. Spirits will now break on through with Diffuser in hand. He's a very valuable target. If you can shut him down and drop that Diffuser inside a bathroom, you'll be in excellent position on the side of SSG. You have so much room to play with. As you sit on match point, DZ only has 2 rounds to their name.
Yeah, this is starting to get bad. 27 seconds. I mean, something's got to break. It'll be False the first one to die, but Darkzero, they do not have time. They're not even in the bomb site yet, Parker. They've still got to get these last couple kills.
Down goes Benjamaster to join Fultz. DZ finally have a great round under their belt, but they've got very limited time to make this work. It'll be an all-out brawl in the final 10 seconds. A nice line up, but Ashen bottles that. J90 is gone too, and now Newers just needs to sit and wait, but he pops up. He needs to survive for a second, but NJR says not today. That was way too close for comfort. Newers almost saving the round for Space Station. Nave wants the team to lock in, focus, clear your head. That's the only way. You've got to take it round by round by round. 3 more rounds to be won for DZ to go to overtime. Darkzero will not get 3 points because SSG is guaranteed 1. They cannot lose in regulation. Best case scenario for Darkzero is 2 points in overtime, but my oh my, what a long walk that is. You need to win 3 rounds in regulation, and then you need to win 2 in overtime. At minimum, 5 rounds to go. SSG's already cleared that mark. DZ are a team that are tricky to beat, and they have some really tremendous staying power, but SSG have just been on another level so far, and Newers almost won it for them as the clock reached 0 right as NJR got that final kill. What a devastating loss that would have been for DZ had that come to fruition, but they bought themselves at least 3 more minutes.
I think it's nice for Darkzero that they're not panicking when these rounds start to stall out. You know, you go back to round 9, then it's like, we spend the first minute trying to get into lockers, and we can't really do that. By a minute 30, we're giving up on it, and we're rotating over towards waiting room and passport. By about 60 seconds left on the clock, we're just getting passport, and we're starting to pressure in towards bathroom. Their first pick in that round, Parker, doesn't come until less than 30 seconds on the clock. But they know they finally found the gap. They spent 2.5 minutes looking for it, and once they have that space, they look so confident. Spirit's leading the charge on that Blackbeard. Does it get scary in the 1v5 when Newers is ratting in sight? Absolutely, but at the end of the day, it's a 1v5 and you've got plenty of guys around to trade. SSG don't want to let Darkzero get set up in another 5v5 push like that. That's why we're seeing these spawn peaks come through. Newers 13-5, hungry to make that 14, but doesn't look like anybody's going to give it to them. Darkzero are a really tough team to get spawn peaks on. They're very careful. They're very cautious. So getting aggressive onto them and getting these picks can be tough, but a map like Border, you probably have the most opportunity.
An unpredictable match, one that hasn't been as close as the match that preceded it, but I would argue the fireworks have been much bigger and much brighter. A fitting way to end our first day of this super week. 2 more days of the NA League are on the docket for you. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow and then the same time on Friday. 4 teams have cemented their position. 2 of them will be relegated. We know Standby LFO and Team Cruelty will, well, have to fight their way to come back to the NA League. It's not a given that they'll stick around. OXG and M80 punched their tickets to the playoffs earlier today. They sit in the top 2, but their spot far from guaranteed. NJR beheaded now by J90 as SSG have a huge opening pick. Fultz is outside. No way Pambazoo gets away. He's been punished for it, so DZ will need to retrieve him outside of the building. Citizen tasked with dealing with the clash. Up the stairs he goes, and Citizen gets 2 of them. J90 and Fultz both in the ground. Benjamaster will join Newers too, and suddenly DZ have turned on a dime and beaten the stuffing out of SSG. That leaves Ashen. He does most of his talking in chat. He's gonna have to do it in the server. He's got his hands full. A 1v4. Long-range engagement, and it's an anticlimactic end. What a huge round from Ben. Citizen taking no prisoners. DZ now stitching 2 rounds in a row. A long climb, getting progressively less daunting. Are SSG worried, Jesse, do you think?
I think worry starts to creep in at this point. I mean, you've kind of gotten away with some ridiculous round wins so far today, and you can't be relying on that. Everybody knows this, including SSG. 6-4 will be the current scoreline, and it really does feel like, I mean, you said it, Citizens positioning, they're absolutely critical. And honestly, it comes off of maybe being a bit too cute towards East Stairs. I mean, you're playing it with a Wamai and a Clash. It's odd to see 2 players committed to that part of the map. Usually you can see it being solo held by an Azami, which is banned, but maybe a Smoke or maybe even a Sentry are some common ops that we see over there. But this time, they choose to do it with the Clash, and although it starts really strong, J9 gets a great frag, and then I don't know what was happening out on the balcony, but I think it was good for SSG. It's just that solo player walking up East Stairs that was not expected at all from Spacestation, didn't have information down there, and I thought they had barbed wire. I'm not sure if they maybe didn't hear it because they were too far, maybe the logic bomb stopped it, or maybe it was destroyed earlier.
5 seconds left.
Whatever the case was, the information was not present, and so that's a huge round from Citizen to turn things back for DZ. 11-7 is his current stat line, as he's often been the top frag for this team.
Darkzero workshopping these issues live as they're still dancing on the razor's edge of this matchup. A single round goes in favor of SSG, and there goes the match. There goes any chance at a single point. Darkzero's not in a great spot, Jesse. They need to get to OT to gain these points. Again, their little nest egg that they're sitting on is that Standby LFO matchup, but you never really know. Standby will have an opportunity to play spoiler and do something to DZ that's never happened before. As you referenced, DZ have never finished outside of the top 6 since joining NA in any single circuit that they've played in. An absolutely absurd statistic. I mean, imagine being the team that has already been relegated, but you have a chance to do just about the funniest thing ever. I think for comedy's sake, it would be funny, but for DZ and their fans, it would be devastating. We'll see what happens as Standby's last 2 matches will be against Team Cruelty, another winless team, also relegated, and then DZ. So, a bit of difference there. DZ storming the gates now, Jesse. Half of the round gone. There goes Intel and DZ looking to sink their teeth into SSG upstairs in Archives and Office.
Yeah, it's the double entry from Pamba and Citizen while Nafe starts to pinch in from Archives too. False has to turn off his phone, but I'm not sure if he's got time, Parker. He'll be full blind because of this. J9 Radigan Fountain, but spotted out by Pamba, who gets both of those kills, fully prepared to get these frags. Everybody falling on Space Station, and he doesn't get the third. It's a brilliant shot from Newers, keeping SSG alive in this game.
I think I've laughed more in this match than I have through the entirety of the Stage 2 matches combined. And it's just how absurd this has been. DZ put together an impressive body of work over these last 2 rounds, but it might just be too little too late. Nate finds himself in a 1v2. He'll have to hunt down Ashen and Newers. He's got one of those players in his line of sight. Newers could go for the pop-up, and a single shot to the chest will be all she wrote for DZ, and 3 points will go into the win column for SSG. Nafe is still in this spot. I mean, if you're Newers, you've got to hear him at this point. Ashen will get the job done from down below. And despite their best efforts, DZ come up empty-handed. Spacestation, desperate to get back into the playoff picture, will do just that. As liftoff happens alongside 3 points, and they topple DZ.
Critical game for SSG. Big bounce back on what has historically been their favorite map to get themselves back on the stage. It's not been the greatest so far from SSG, but this was an important one. Up against Darkzero, I mean, some heartbreaking rounds. Definitely still some things to work on if you're this team. It is all about that late round that seems to be fumbling. That'll be the day for us, Parker, but we do have an interview with SSG coming up, so stick around because that will be on your screen very shortly.
Final floor, Nate.
Nice!
Good fucking shit, brother.
Good fucking shit. Saw that one tap.
Welcome back to the NAL. SSG securing the win against DZ. Predictions were swapped. Who swapped? You swapped SSG?
I picked SSG. He went to
Swapped,
Darkzero.
Yeah.
Oh, sucks.
It's okay. I believed in them. I believed in them.
Yeah, you did. And I think as well after the clutch that we saw from Fultz, everyone at that point became a believer.
I think we
Let's
both
roll the
screamed.
clip. Let's bring in Fultz because honestly, can you just talk us through your mental process of going for those isolated 1v1s and just making sure that you get that clutch?
Yeah, I mean, been doing this a long time. Probably been in that armory bomb site over 1,000 times. So, you know, you just stop thinking, you start shooting.
Wait, I thought we were showing the
Yeah,
clip.
I would thought. Yeah, there
Oh,
we
okay,
go.
there it is.
Oh, here
Walk
we
us
go.
through it.
Here we go.
Best caster impression.
2, obvious, that guy's there. Pants start shitting right about now. Here we go. Tap the bomb. Wait a bit. He's gonna peek. Yeah, done.
Yeah, you definitely got a future in casting whenever you're whenever you're ready. Wow, I just want to know, how'd you know the guy was coming 90? Was there info, sound cue? You just assumed?
Nah.
He
yeah,
played
I
off
just played
intuition?
it.
Oh my god. He's goated.
Is this guy pro players?
All right, well, I want to know, walk us through. I believe in you guys going to border. I felt like the cards kind of lined up, but obviously the last time that you guys played against DZ and border was in stage 1. Was that impact your guys' reasoning on going to border today, or was it just something that you felt in the moment? Walk us through the mad bands.
I wasn't really a part of the map bans this time. Call Up More took the reins on this one. I did chime in for one decision, but it ended up not mattering. So I think the overall thought process was, we just wanted to come out and play aggressive today. I think we've been playing too timid recently, thinking too much. So Border's a great map for that. And I think it showed on our attack side a lot. We were just taking risks, getting those guys pissed off. It's good.
I guess that goes into the question that I was kind of curious. Obviously, we look at your guys' last stage. You guys went through a hell in a cell through playoffs, a lot of overtime wins that you guys clutched through your resilience. Coming into this stage, it clearly hasn't been the exact same result. And I'm curious, just based off what you said, you think it's more based off you guys just playing very timid and not playing into your natural aggressive state that you guys typically thrive on. Would you say that's kind of the biggest proprietor as to why the success hasn't been as transparent as it was during the stage? Last stage, I should say, or playoffs rather?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. It's just like we've lost some of the edge of our aggression. Like you said, it's probably our best feature as a team. So it's not a bad thing to lean into. And I mean, the meta favors it so much. You guys watch games all day. You see it, how much aggressive teams tend to win. So just obviously you don't have to only play like that, but I think we just got to start letting it hang.
How do you go about that then? Because like you said, I think before the thing that we critiqued the most on SSG was being able to slow it down. Now you guys have slowed it down, but now it's to a point where you're slowing it down too much where you need to get back to that aggressive state. How do you then find that balance again that you had to do prior to get to a more passive play style?
Yeah, like we've always wanted to have more structure on the team, and at EWC, I think we were right at that like perfect balance. Like I think we played really well at EWC.
I agree.
And we had the perfect balance of like playing slow and going fast when we needed to, and then you have a lot of off time. You want to get better at the things you're not as good at, which is playing slow for us. And I think that we kind of lost that aggressive feature that we we're known for. So.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I noticed for sure is that you are, I believe, the only player not at the team house. Are we going to be expecting to see you there, hopefully, for playoffs or anytime soon?
Yeah, I'll be there for playoffs, yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
To be fair, he's in his own crib. I'd be doing the exact same thing, just chilling in my own house.
Okay, Black,
Yes, sir.
he's being
You did do
interviewed,
that.
not you. All right?
My fault.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Thank you, Foltz, for your time. We really do appreciate it. Looks like you guys have dusted off what's kind of like been going wrong during this stage. Looking forward to the rest of your Super Week. Hopefully a couple more wins under your belt. Hopefully seeing you guys in playoffs as well. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you guys.
See ya.
Well, I think if they play like that and continue their aggression, I think
For
that's
sure.
going to be the key for them to find that success. But it definitely is a balance, trying to switch your playstyle yet again, where, again, we talked about this in stage 1, having to adopt a more passive playstyle. Now that's corroding over into being more of a passive team. Now they have to find that aggression. So I'm worried in one sense that they fumble it too much of playing a little too much over-aggressive or playing a little too passive. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I completely agree with you have time, you want to be able to make areas that you're not as strong in better. But at the same time of you doing that, you also need to make sure that you're keeping everything else intact that was working. Because obviously if you just practice one thing to be able to make it as good as possible, and then comes play days and you haven't been practicing the way that got you to EWC, that got you first in stage 1, obviously we're going to see the start to the stage that SSG had, which was some ups and downs. So, of course, it's natural that it's going to take time to be able to bounce back into things. And I think, obviously, today, it looked like a very decisive win against Darkzero. I will say there was a little bit of their over-aggression. There was specifically like the round 2 where NJR almost clutched a 1v5. But then immediately there was that huge Benja round where everyone hit the site. So I think that over-aggression is great as long as it's together. So hopefully SSG can make sure that those little mistakes, we don't see them, because their future games are only going to get harder.
Yeah, and it's also just the fact that there's actually only like 2 games left realistically before they actually do manage to get into the playoffs, and that's where every single one of the teams wants to be. You want the SI points, you want to go to Munich. Like, that's the goal for every single one of these teams, especially when we're looking at the likes of SSG, who was the #1 seed in NAL last time. But with that as well, we wrap our day. So a little bit of a reminder in terms of the games that we saw so far today. I mean, DZ SSG was the last one. We started things off with... It was a cruelty game, a wild card. There we go. 7-3. All in all, I expected the DZ SSG game to be a little bit closer.
Yeah, I definitely say that that was the game that everyone anticipated to be the closest. That being said, I mean, great win from SSG. Obviously, Envy keeping it close with SR. I really liked what we saw to Envy. Again, such a difficult task to go up against SR. The other games, I mean, I think... maybe I would have wanted to see a little bit more at a Cloud9, but at the end of the day, I mean, M80 showed up to play. They've been amazing all stage, so can't expect anything less.
I will say, for the Team Cruelty match versus Wildcard, I was a little disappointed in Wildcard, but not for the sake of their own performance, just not, it didn't seem like they were all there. And then for the side of Cruelty, their coach actually recently just posted a picture of their blueprints of how they were setting up for Wildcard, which honestly, that brought me joy. It is a little disheartening because... to look at a team and feel like, oh, they aren't putting a lot of work in outside given their performance, but to see like the coach is actually putting in all this work and this effort and it's just not being replicated in the match, it does suck to see that. But I am glad to see that, even if the performance isn't there, the work behind the scene is still being put in.
Yeah, and that's, at the end of the day, kind of like all that we're really looking forward to, for people to put in the work. And unfortunately, maybe it's not hitting the mark, but it's still being done, and that's what matters. But for today as well, the Blacklight detail is going to be going over to Foltz too, because that was a crazy round. We're just gonna watch it for like, what, the third time now?
Oh, it was a pretty insane round. I mean, obviously, this is a situation you find yourself in. You don't expect to be able to win it. The intuition was amazing. To get the first kill, know somebody's coming 90, to push all the way up to it. I think Darkzero made they made a right call by trying to double up, but they line up perfectly.
Yeah.
Fultz hits the nice headshot, and now in this situation where you have the diffuser on your side, there's only one answer. Spirits has to push him in this instance, and he plays time too much.
I mean, hindsight is 20/20 here, but I feel like the player on bomb just plays lockers while the other holds that angle from archives and then plays off that call. But like you were saying, they lined up, which then gave Fultz that tremendous ability to be able to clutch that. I mean, even swinging him from 90 didn't need to be made. They knew where Fultz was after that first kill. I mean, a big blunder from DZ, but I mean, for Fultz to be able to make that clutch happen, he still had to get it done.
Yeah, he also smacked the desk so hard twice that his camera just like flipped upside down. Which is, I think that pretty much encapsulates how excited everybody was after that round win. But we're also gonna have to look at the games for tomorrow and the standings in terms of where we left things off, because at the end of the day, these top 6 spots is where everybody wants to be. And we were discussing a world where potentially SSG is not going to be in the playoffs. Currently, as it stands, DZ might not be there.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for DZ, I believe they play a wild card in standby.
Yes.
That being said, you can assume the standby is a free win, so that would boost DZ up to 12 points. But then they play against wild card, which is a situation where that could easily knock wild card out. You know, there's so many intricacies of each team playing each team. Yeah, and SSG at the same time, like, they could also technically get knocked out if they lose.
They have SR M80, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, SR M80.
Scary.
Well, we talked about these overtimes, winning these overtime losses, you know, early in the stage, that once we get to this Super Week, it really can paint the picture for some of the teams just losing by one singular point. I mean, and how it's shaping up, no one is locked in terms of being top 6. This can easily change in tomorrow's games, and then especially going into the last play day. So again, there is a lot riding on these matchups, more than I feel like we had last stage in terms of who was able to make it and who wasn't, and given the teams that are in this position currently.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that M80, at least in that regards, is locked into playoffs. 19 points.
Yes.
Like, you're pretty safe at that point, so that's a really good position to be in. But tomorrow as well is a new day, new opportunity for these teams to, why is that?
Cruelty versus standby. The battle of the bottoms, the battle of the worst team.
It means that at least one is going to get points.
One of them is going to go from dead last to second to last, and they'll be there for a while. I'm excited. I'm excited to see if, you know, both of these teams, like, I don't want either of them to just give up. And I feel like that's the case for standby. They've given up. So I'm excited to see if Cruelty can really beat them and prove that they're not the 10th place team.
I mean, the Shopify Space Station game, you know, we just heard from Fultz talking about they want to get more aggressive, and I think if there's going to be one game that, you know, the aggression will really shine through, or honestly you're going to meet a brick wall, it's going to be against Shopify Rebellion. So it'll be a good testament for them to see if their aggressive playstyle will work, and then if we could pull that back up, I actually want to see what that first game was. I think I missed it. Was that
M80?
Was it Envy M80? We're getting there. Yeah, that Envy M80 game, I am curious to see what Envy can do to bring against M80, where I think, again, you know, we saw some small errors from Envy that just is due to lack of experience, and you have to go through those hurdles of losing those rounds that can make you realize in the future you find yourself in that exact same position, and that way you correct it. So I am curious to see what they will do against M80, but I'm sure for M80, that's just another game for them.
Every game looks so good. Every game looks so good.
I mean, it's also
wild card, like.
But it's also just like really keep into consideration the fact that these are the last 2 play days to actually qualify for playoffs. So the pressure genuinely is on, not just for the teams that are towards the bottom, but even for like some of the best teams that we have in the league. Like considering DZ, SSG, there's a world where neither one or one of them doesn't make it. Like tomorrow is just going to be so important, and so is going to be the day after. But the sooner we finish, not really. It's not the sooner we start, because we're going to be coming back tomorrow at the same time, same place. So make sure you tune in for that. But until tomorrow, take care of yourselves, guys. We'll see you then with some more best of 1 Siege.